Echo Lima 87. This is 100 watts and a wire.
Alrighty, here we go. Amateur radio amplified on 100 watts and a wire. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero, Sierra Tango Hotel. Scotty is here, KC3BXN. And if you were catching the pre-show at all on YouTube, we do live stream the live recording of the 100 watts and a wire podcast on Sundays at 7 o'clock Eastern time. You did see Sidecar Steve, W7UDI. Unfortunately, but perhaps fortunately for this person, there was an automobile accident. He was paged and had to depart early. So if he makes it back, it's unlikely. Who knows how far he's got to go to attend to this vehicle alarm in his work. You know, he is a firefighter, so he's going out there. No fires tonight. He's going to hopefully rescue someone. Anyhow, we'll move forward. If you have a question, you can put a Q in front of it, and we will try to get to it tonight about anything in general ham radio related. We will talk about verticals a little bit tonight, and I will let you know about my situation, I say tonight, of course, because we are recording in the evening, 7 o'clock Eastern time. This is episode number 429. Some people will be saying, "See, child, what about the net tonight?" You've got Sidecar Steve. Don is on the disabled list. He's got some sort of infection going on. He's on the medication. Both will be fine, but we will probably turn it into a gathering or something.
Gathering
like
of the will.
So we are downgrading our net tonight, if y'all are listening. Scotty, what's going on with you, man?
Not much. Just enjoying a little bit of the holiday weekend. I got 3 days off, so that's been pretty good. Spent most of yesterday hanging out with my mom. Today it was forecast to be rainy, but it ended up being a fairly decent day. But I spent most of the time messing around with some projects on the bench. I got this old Heathkit watt meter I've been trying to resuscitate, so I was messing around with that today. So.
All right, so we can look now. If you are watching, you can see this. You can watch the replay on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to all the places. We're on the Tickety Talk. We've got the YouTube. We've got Discord. And Scotty, in recent times, he's had a knack for tinkering, I believe, for a long time, and doing a lot of audio stuff. But now he's building stuff and doing stuff. It looks like you might have what is that? An amplifier back there?
Yeah, I've been a bit. Well, part of my day job is I work I'm an audio engineer by trade. I've been for 25 years, but lately I've been working in the repair shop, in the tech shop, helping when one of the console channels dies or somebody knocks an XLR cable out of the wall panel, and just kind of bringing that stuff back to life. So that's kind of sparked a renewed interest in tinkering around with stuff at home, and now I'm in deep. I got 2 Fender amps back there that are a friend of mine, two friends of mine. You can see one on the floor, a little Fender there, and then there's on the bench, and this little homemade cradle that I've made for the amp chassis. And I've been messing around with that stuff and kind of deep diving into tube amplifiers, which is something that I've always played guitar through for many years, but never really poked my nose around inside one too deeply. But I got it bad, man. I got it bad.
The HR department has let me know that I need to say that Don is now on the injured list. He is not on the disabled list. He's on the injured reserve list. So we hope to get him back. We will downgrade the Sunday evening net to a gathering of the willing. All you need to do is pick a frequency in cases like this, post it up on our socials, and we will come find you. Okay, so we got all the HR stuff out into the open. If you have a question tonight about anything, really, it doesn't matter. It's all good. This is the intersection of life and amateur radio. You're welcome to drop it into the chat. Those questions will take precedent, and we do have some questions we can try to help you with later on as we go. Hello, Weather Guy, WXGUY is here. He says, good evening to everyone. Hello to you. Thanks for coming. Al is here as well from Southeast Louisiana. UTV and Ham. He's K9. Oh, he's KD9. Whiskey November. Victor, he's here as well. Good to see you. Drop your name in the chat. It's a friendly bunch. So we wanted to talk a little bit about verticals, and I guess I should explain. For one, last week there was a question regarding the noise in the recording. And it came from Farmer Rex, of all people, who's probably out in the loudest piece of machinery that you can find. And he's like, well, did you say that was cicadas? Because all of a sudden it sounded like a rain stick, just like shh.
Yeah, it was bad, man.
And for a moment there, Scotty's looking around because that's what audio guys do. They look first, left to right, because it's the ear perk up. It's like the little dog with the ears that move. And he's like, what the hell? He's going through the knobs. And I'm like, oh, no, it's cicadas. So down here in Florida. And then today, my wife decides to put up some chimes. They're beautiful. So you're going to hear chimes as the breeze blows.
I was thinking that was some sort of internet audio, data compression artifact. It sounds like if you run the noise reduction too hard, you get this kind of weird artifact.
Everything's okay. It's okay. We have to let it. We're just going to let it simmer. Whatever happens, it's going to happen. But yeah, I've got one kind of door open, and the breeze is blowing. So that's what's going on. I'm down in Southwest Florida, and this is the reason I thought I would talk about verticals on this episode. And I guess there's really so much to learn, and I'm studying a bit the basics of it. And I've been doing some research, and I asked a while back, what should I do? Basically, there's not a lot of land down here. There's some good-sized lots and that sort of stuff, but not necessarily like I can't do 160. I'm not going to be doing 160 wire, and it hurts me deep inside.
Double bazooka.
I have a double bazooka 160. I should just sell it, but I don't know if I could bring myself to do it. But I have a 160 double bazooka that Sidecar made. And it used to hum, it used to be great. But I had the room in the trees at the homestead in Missouri, and I don't have that. Most people here don't have it. Verticals seem like a good option here, so I'm going to give that a chance. Last week on the episode, Scotty, we were talking about those rigs that came, they were just announced. And let's see. Oh, you're going to do me like that? Damn it, you Facebook. Wait a minute.
Okay. Yeah, we get the new ICOM and Yaesu, and I think Kenwood had a rig too. At least those are the ones that I recall talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about, it's the Yaesu FTX 1F and then the 7760. Okay, so Facebook is being a bit of a D-bag to me at the moment. So I can't go and read back the comments. What the hell?
Oh.
So I'll try. Why don't we sing a little song and I'll try to log in here.
Yeah.
All right, which one should we do here? We'll do this one. Make something up.
See, I'm not a lyricist. If I had my guitar with me, I could do some guitar twanging.
Okay, by the look on your face, I can tell. They're just breaking my balls here. It was all set up, and now I've got to do something strange. We'll just talk about the verticals. Let me get my.
Zucky's messing with you.
Don't stand up. At least he didn't lock me out. Let me see. Okay, they just want me to give a code. This is stupid, but it's real time. What are we gonna do?
Oh, they're texting you the two-factor authentication.
Yeah, it's like, why did you guys log me out? Oh, I know. I did it to myself. I rebooted the computer. It seemed like it was a little too. Okay, if they would get me in, I would read some of these. Okay, now we're in. Don't worry, guys.
Was there a bunch of folks commenting on the new rigs?
It wasn't a ton, but it was worth mentioning, and I have some here, and I'll pull them up. Let me just get it all set up this way so we can see it. People who are hanging with us tonight, and that's what we'll do. All right, so I was asking Hamley, what you thought about it, and let's see if I can do this with Scotty here.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Thank you, Zucky. We appreciate you. What are your early thoughts on this rig? And the people on the Facebook group, they'll give it to you straight. Jeremy says if the FTX 1F doesn't have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to match the IC705, that's a missed opportunity. Dual VFOs would still be nice. That's November 0 Alpha Whiskey. Any thoughts on that? The Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi?
I recall seeing some other folks talking about again. There's a lot of speculation still on this radio. I don't believe it has the Wi-Fi. I don't know about the Bluetooth. There could be tidbits they left out. So when it does come out, it's like, oh, well, it does have the Wi-Fi too. Oh, cool. Here, take my monies.
You know, I sold my 705. I had it. I thought it was a great looker, but I had a thing. I
Great,
guess I needed a little more watts. I don't know. And I
great
wasn't
looking.
getting out as much as I wanted to. I still feel that way. I have two antennas now that were great for portable stuff, and I'm just not as portable as I'd like to be. And I think I have a good wire antenna solution for if I do. So if you're
You got
interested
the
in,
chameleon antennas, right? One of the chameleon loops and one of the
I
verticals
do,
too, right?
I do. I've got the Chameleon. It's the CHA P loop. It's got the power compensator, which is good. That's like $100 piece. And the booster kit. So, it's sold with like you can do the 40 meter with one loop, and then it gives you a broader band. So there's two loops
Okay,
with
yeah,
it.
right, yeah. Cool.
And, it works fine. You just have to go and you have to tune to the frequency that you want to work on. But it did really well, and Chameleon makes good products. So best offer can take that one because I'm not using it. And the Alpha antenna, the Full Metal Jacket, it's called. It's a sexy name, but they do a lot of military stuff. And this one has like this big tripod with these feet that like dig in and a 13-foot whip, sexy stuff. And it works, and it's kind of directional. I worked a station in Washington State. It wasn't Steve, from the Midwest, and I was like, oh, cool. So it works and it deploys. They both deploy fast. So if you're into that, but it's true. Like with the 705, I was like, and it was Steve and a couple of other people who were like, if you're not going to use it, you know what I mean? Like you might as well let it go to somebody who can and will. And I'm like, all right. So anyway, there's a couple of antennas the Sea Child's got. If you're interested, drop me a line. Let's see. Jeremy replied back. He said it might not have one of those, but it does have two independent receive circuits, whereas the 705 doesn't. He says that is a huge plus. What does that mean, Scotty?
No, it
To
means
receive.
you can be listening to two different bands at the same time, which is going to be really cool if it's truly full duplex, meaning that you can hear and transmit at the same time. So the satellite guys are really going to dig that if that's the case. You could be keying up on VHF into the satellite and hearing yourself in real time on the UHF downlink, and that's a pretty big key to working satellite stations.
Cobus. Cobus is Zulu Sierra 1 Kilo. He said, I would hope the FTX1F has the ability to switch off the 3D band scope for a configurable display. Also have high hopes that it will spawn a 100-watt dual bander to replace the FT857D. That would be awesome, depending on pricing. I was just listening to a new sound. It's hard to tell if that's a jet fighter, stealth bomber, or a little bit of thunder. We'll find out here shortly. Kobe says he cannot see himself replacing his FT817ND for now. Any thoughts on what he's saying there with a 100-watt dual bander to replace the FT857D?
I remember when I first got into Hammond first got my HF general license. One of the first radios I was looking at was a used 857, and so it's a small 100-watt, all band all mode rig that was real popular about 15 years ago or so. So yeah, maybe something like that. I hope it spawns a new 991 model. Which would be cool. It doesn't need to, for me, it doesn't need to be as small and portable as like the 857 was, or the new one. But that would even be even cooler if it was even more small and portable than say a 991, which I don't mind dragging one of those around. I love that radio.
Now, QRP is not for everybody, and it's not exclusive to POTA or Summits on the Air people, although I totally understand why they do it, and it's cool. And I think specifically for code, I think if you're a code operator and you're on low power 5 watts and you can put everything in a TikTok can and throw the line up there at the top of the mountain,
That's the thing.
I think that's cool and that's awesome. But for me, like I kind of love my 100 watts. Scotty, where are you on the? I know you like the POTA. I know you like operating portable, and I do as well. Where do you fall with spending about? We're guessing maybe 12 hundo on 10 watt radio.
I am not a QRP person. When I go camping or if I'm doing a POTA activation, I am dragging around a 100 watt radio. Typically, my older FT 450D is my main sort of portable radio. I had an 891 for a while, but I ended up when I wasn't doing POTA for a while, I was a little strapped for cash, and I unloaded the 891 to one of the members of the Discord group actually, and he got it for his son, and his son's enjoying it doing the POTA and stuff. So I don't really miss it. Don't miss my 891. My 450 does everything I need.
And a wire news.
It's just in. Sorry to step on you there.
It's fun.
I was tail ending on you there, Scotty.
Breaking news.
Jeff has checked in. Hello, Jeff, KD9ZSL. But Al reminds us that the peacocks here in Southwest Florida are a thing that make noises too. And this,
Really?
my friend, is for real. They make a sound that it sounds like an 80-some-year-old woman screaming for help, especially when they're frisky and they're trying to get it on. And it's the male peacocks with the feathers that fan out. They fan out like this, and then they go shh. But in the middle of the night, they got the booty call, and it's like help. Or some people think it's like a large cat, like meow, but it's more like a help. So Al, thank you for the reminder about those bitch ass peacocks. They are beautiful, but I have no love for those peacocks after
A horny
a
peacock
year.
floating around in Florida.
The problem is that, among other things, if they were just frisky birds and every now and again they wanted to kick it with the lady and they were calling out and shaking their tail feathers, okay, I'm down with that too. Like I would do it too if I could fan out. But I always thought the ladies were the one with the beautiful feathers, and they're real long. Like this is a long, and it's the dudes. The dudes have it. They're like, super fly.
Most of the whole bird world is the males are the attractive ones, and the females are the sort of more less colorful.
Yeah, that's a good polite way to say that. No HR abuse there. We were friendly to the peacocks, except
Horny 80-year-old.
The problem is, and this is an offshoot to our conversation, but the peacocks, people are feeding the peacocks in this certain area where we lived for a year, and they think it's great that they're feeding these birds, and they're so dependent. They're on top of the houses, they're on your cars, they're walking across the street. You're like, and they make a poop in the ground, on the ground, that is like the emoji, the poop emoji. Like it's like a little thing, man. I'm like,
squirrely,
dude,
huh?
you need it's a squirrely. If it was on a cone,
damn soft serve on my roof.
if you had a cone under it, you might lick it. It's huge, man. But yeah, thank you, Al, for reminding me of my dislike of the peacocks. Beautiful, but dependent, and the people are causing the problem. Anywho, they are swirly and beautiful. Let's see. Ricardo down in Paradise. He lives on the other side of Florida, just a couple of hours to my east. He is in and near Orlando. Ricardo says the 7760 looks amazing. An all-in-one dual display rig with 200-watt output. Now we're talking, Scotty. See, this is what I'm talking about.
QRO, baby.
I'm talking 200 watts out there doing something, but maybe this isn't a rig you take out in the field, and it costs $1 zillion. He also says you can expect a price of about $6,100. And your boy is not a buyer. I am not in the market at that point. And a good point, I think it was Mitz, Don. I hope you feel better, brother, by the way. Mitz was saying that maybe with this radio coming out, there'll be some 7610s hitting the used market for, a nice break. And then he would probably pick one of those up. But I just don't know that they're in contention. It's not like a trade-off, right? It's kind of a little different. I don't know, man. I didn't pay $6,100 for the 7610.
Yeah, what's the 7610 retail for? Being a Yaesu fanboy, I haven't really priced many ICOM radios lately.
We probably have to ask our friends here who are in the chat. Don, I think, had probably looked at one. I'm thinking maybe 332, maybe something like that. And that's that's kind of my rig. But somebody
Right,
will drop
right.
that in and let us know if you would. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I could see
Recent pricing.
folks upgrading from that radio to the new 7760, and
Yeah, some
maybe
people would do it. Okay.
price
Going
to
to
sell.
Al says he'd love to see a new 991X, maybe 100
I'm-
watts, VHF, UHF.
I am there. Yeah,
Okay, that's where you want to be. Okay.
that's where I want to be.
Ken says at this point I would go with the FTX one. He likes it. I guess he said he would prefer that one over the other. He didn't say he was going to pop on it and buy it. Mike says the new ICOM HF radio looks great, but way outside my budget, and that's how I feel about that as well. As the FT1X, Yaesu done a great job on that radio with their inconsistent menu structure. This is a sticking point here, too. He probably won't be getting one. He's hoping that the ICOM will release an upgrade replacement radio for the ID 5100A, the 7100, 7300, and so on, and so on. Can you speak as a what you call the Yaesu fanboy? Can you talk about the menu system in the Yaesu? Is it tricky? Is it something that's an
it is a
acquired
pain.
taste?
It's a pain in the ass, and it is definitely an acquired taste. But being the first, it was the Yaesu line of radios was the first radio that I learned to dig through menus for, and so for me, after using them for quite a few years now, the 450, my main rig now is a FT DX 3000, and I have the 991 first generation 991, not the 991A. Yeah, I got I knew what they referred to things. I knew how they had their menus laid out. It's like this numbered system, starting at 001, 002, 003, and there's some, and they lump things together. Like all your mic options are, this same sort of menu numbers. And once you kind of get used to that, it's pretty easy to dig around with what you want to see. They have a fair amount of hardware knobs though for a lot of the typical features, like a bunch of stuff on my rig. I got assignable keys as well, so I can check out. If I'm doing FT8 or voice, I can assign what's called the CS switch to flip to bring up a specific menu item. Like for me, I have microphone chosen, so I can choose between the front mic or the USB if I'm doing digital. So, but I haven't seen this. I've seen 7300s and I've poked around them before, and the ICOM definitely. If you're not familiar with either radio, ICOM's definitely the hands down the winner for intuitive menuing for sure.
Right on. Here we go. Let's see. Got something coming in now. Earl, what is it?
100 watts and a wire. News.
WX Guy is here to tell us that the 7610 currently on the market for $32.49. So there you go. $3,249.95. We'll get you a new one. So I think that's pretty good. It's all relative to what you want, but I love the radio, and if you're watching along and you want to see it, I can show you. That's what my shizzle looks like. Somebody's got a 5.9 plus signal right now on 14.
Yeah.
It's all about what you want. I thought the ICOMs were pretty intuitive when I got into the game. I was first using a Drake TR7, which still makes it move for me, if you will.
Excellent.
Cherry. More days go by, I feel like you are the one that is Twisted Cherry in HR. We're trying to make a move with her, trying to get somebody indifferent. It's not as sensitive to these weird. You're fired. You're fired. A little bit of a weather check here in Southwest Florida. A nice cool breeze and a little bit of rain now falling. I need a camera at like the door. I'd share it with you. So there you go. And I wanted to ask, this is a bit of a loaded question, and I'm not trying to be tricky, but we always talk about ham radio operators. We're like, yeah, we just dive into the stuff, and the manual is just whatever, man. Manual, that's kind of the joke. Is a Yaesu something that you kind of get used to? Or are we not patient enough for this? Or is it just that they've not figured out a better way?
No, it's just something you get used to. If you're a Yaesu user, you get used to the menu layout. And it's a similar configuration for the different model radios. So if you learn how to get around one particular Yaesu model, then you should be able to pretty easily find your way through the others. So just like any other sort of environment, proprietary little environment that companies have for their products.
Yes, my Drake TR7, I loved it. Still have it. I need to get that probably in the beginning of the new year. I think I'm going to go back to the homestead in January, I believe, and then bring some stuff back because I still have some stuff that I'm going to need, and the Drake needs to be with Daddy. That was my first radio. I totally love it. Love that radio. Let's see, John. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I said bring it on home.
Got to bring it on home. John tells us, I'm looking forward to the Yaesu FTX 1F. I will never own another ICOM. Had too many. Never again. He had a nice FT818 ND for POTA. It's a great radio. He had the FT891 for about a week for POTA and sold for a something convenient or the convenience of the FT818. And basically, in a nutshell, if you expand that, I'm like, that sounds like a story to me. But he had a couple of experiences, John did, and it just put him off. Like getting help or something, whenever he was doing it. But this has been a long time, and it's just one man's experience with ICOM. Phil says the 7760 is a shot at the Flex radio line. I think you may have said that last week, Scotty.
Yeah, definitely.
He says it'll be interesting to see how it compares. ICOM needs to update their existing HF models too. That's an interesting point. He's Kilo Bravo 0 November Echo Sierra. I think I said that right, Phil. I still have the 7100 in my truck. I really like it, and as you look back, it's like, wow, that's looks kind of antiquated. When it came out, it had like a little waterfall display, but not really. Nothing like anything like today. But it still sounds good. It still works well.
7100, cool rigs. I like the little mini sort of console shape to their to the head unit, and they're cool.
And it's got the detachable head.
Yeah.
I didn't say detachable penis. I swear to God, she's got to go. I mean, that was a song, right? Remember, wasn't that a song? Somebody wrote a song called Detachable Penis. We will give a prize to someone who figures that out and puts it in the chat. Yeah, it's something about a detachable penis. I don't know how I remember these things. All the things in the life to remember.
Detachable penis. I forget.
Yeah, it was either that or a superhero episode. I don't know. Stu says new rigs, Hamley. The only thought he has is the FTA X1F and the X60. The ICOM are still... There's too little information at this point. We'll see how it pans out the next month or two. Don says he'll have to try them both. Good luck with that. I don't know if there's a place you could put them on layaway, or you can just get them and play with them for a little bit. Scott says, I hope they have good finals. And Mikey says, figure I buy FT 891, and the next week a new radio is announced. I think they are both more than I was looking for.
Yeah, they're not apples and apples. The 891 and the new FTX one. Those are very different radios.
Bill says hopefully Yaesu hit the mark with the FTX 1F and have better finals than the 991A. Maybe Scotty's got a story there, a little background for that. I can tell you how many hams I know have had to send their rig back because of blown finals on the 991A. And the new ICOM 7760 is beautiful, however, too expensive for me. So there you go, Scotty. That's a little bit of a walk around to see what the people are listening in our audience and our community are talking about this week. Do you know anything about the background on the finals, or is it just easy enough to say that they've had some issues?
I have to say that I have replaced the finals in my 450 and replaced the final in a 991. So Mitsubishi transistors. It happens. They're not very if they're not very lenient. The ACUs aren't very lenient if you're transmitting into a crappy load. So
crappy load. Oh, that's one way to put it. All right, my brothers and sisters, we are going to take a look at this week in radio history. August 31st, 1920. We were all much younger then. I can hardly even remember. But we were buying penny candy by the fistfuls. The Detroit radio station 8MK airs what is believed to be the first radio news broadcast. The station later became WWJ. Now, we got another August here that I've tossed in there, but on September 2nd, 1969, Internet Forerunner ARPANET begins operation. That's 1969. And just this past week, brothers and sisters, August 26th, and this is the kind of stuff that makes me sad inside, and it makes me want to, vent. I'll try not to. August 26th of this year, this fine year, 2024, WCBS Radio, that's 880 AM in New York, signed off after nearly 60 years. Scotty will have to add this to your...
Damn. Yeah, I didn't catch that.
No, this would have... This just happened, but we'll just add it for the next the next
looking at
time.
1902 stuff, like, no.
No, I mean, this is brand new stuff. This was a respected news outlet in New York City for nearly 60 years. It's going to become ESPN Radio. They went on the air as a news station back in 1967. And, I mean, really, don't get me started, man. The problem is many problems, but what I feel is, and you can hear the rain now, Scotty.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just being very Neil Young about it all. I'm not going to try to isolate it out. I may put up some acoustic panels in here because I got a little bit of
There's a little room. Got a little room in there. A little room
in here. It's a lot of.
Then I'm in here. It's all the things.
A lot of concrete. A lot of reflective surfaces. Anywho, deregulation of radio stations really started. I don't know, many would say back with Reagan. Clinton opened it up even further, and now you've got CBS and ESPN, probably owned by Disney. I'm not sure, but it's too much for them to have them both. And one of the main problems is, and we talk about this on the ham radio side, and being a radio guy, loving radio, is that kids don't even know what 880 AM radio is. Scotty, AM radios are not even in cars anymore. So how do you compete with that? So they basically took and put ESPN radio on after nearly 60 years on the air in New York City. So
AM radio is in big trouble. There's doesn't seem that many people want to use it anymore, and the car manufacturers aren't. I think there's some petition. I think it might be Tesla or somebody else to basically the petition against Tesla to put AM radios in the car and to kind of force manufacturers to keep an AM radio option in the cars, because there's so much of the interstate like emergency information stations are all on AM. You drive down the highway and tune to 560 AM to hear this this information about this mountain pass that you're getting ready to drive over. So I don't know what's going to happen.
It's unfortunate, and it's not a great sign for smaller stations. I think if radio opens back up and starts to serve communities again, that one certainly served the New York area proudly for a long time. Dereg opened things up. Clear Channel gobbled a bunch of stuff. They were so ruthless. I think they had to change their name to iHeartMedia, and they've really stripped a lot of commercial radio stations. If one day they start to sell them coming back to the communities, maybe we'll buy one and make it something local. But it's not a great sign.
I like the idea of kind of maybe a resurgence in community, kind of small. You don't have to be 50 kilowatt stations, 100 kilowatt stations. So maybe some smaller community stations. I was just reading earlier today about Part 15 stations on the FCC, and I don't really have all the details. I just came across them, but they're kind of unlicensed areas like 100 and was it the 170-meter band or something just above the AM broadcast. Um, there's this section. I guess it falls under Part 15 FCC um, allocations, and I was reading about there's a lot of community sort of radios, AM radio stations on these frequencies. So I want to learn more about that because I think that's really cool. I've always wanted to do a radio station here in Ellicott City, Maryland.
I
Just
love
just
that.
a local one, even if it's FM. And I've looked into getting a low power FM license to do a little FM station or
Well, if you do it,
an AM station, something.
I want to
Cool.
shift, man. I want to shift. We'll do
Sure,
breaking
bye-bye.
news. This just in from Glenn. He is telling us King Missile, 1992, detachable penis. And that's all the news.
Winner.
Isn't. Thank you,
Gum-
Glenn. We'll be sending you something from the shack of Scotty, or maybe Sidecar. Hopefully, things are good with Sidecar. He's out there. So there you have it. That's this week in radio news. If you're looking for a power solution, check out BioNO Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit bionopower.com. That's BIOENNO power.com. And if you find value in 100 watts in a wire, you can support the content you enjoy and the community you enjoy. And it's as easy as buying a cup of coffee. You can go to 100wattsinawire.com, click the buy me a coffee. Give if you like, don't if you don't want to. It's all good. We're there for you. 100wattsinawire.com. There are some ham fests that are happening. Let's check in with Scotty to see what's going on around the way. Thank you. If you have any questions, put a Q in front of it, and we will try to answer those. And we have some more questions, and we want to talk a little bit more about my situation at Verticals. It's just a train of thought sometimes when friends get together.
Just
Oh, yeah,
spilling-
we forgot to tell you about the Vertical. Scotty's going to tell you what's going on.
What do we got? Events and contests? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
There we go. A few things happening next weekend. There's Ohio State Parks on the air happening next weekend, September 7th. This one, especially for you West Coasters, it might be kind of fun. It's the Japan Amateur Radio League's 65th annual All Asian DX contest. So that'll be pretty cool.
Nice.
And next weekend kicks off another popular special event, the Route 66 on the air. Special event station kicks off September 7th through September 15th. So the 7th through the 15th. Route 66 on the air. That's a fun one. That one's a lot of challenge for me because it's there's a lot of low power like mobile stations like out west, and it's hard for me to get them. But it was always fun chasing some of those guys. So that kicks off next weekend. So that'd be cool.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Scotty. That's what's going on around here. We'll check on some Ham Fest in just a little bit. Al says 870 AM's the only station that stays on for the Hurricanes here in the New Orleans
There we go.
area. Thank you for that. Mark suggests you call your station in Ellicott City, AM or AFM, Gummy Radio.
Gummy radio.
You're listening to
Then I'll have to use the
Gummy,
gummy sticks
Gummy,
as my if I'm gonna have to use the gummy sticks. The low power station will work. Gummy sticks, gummy radio. I like it.
All right, I do want to catch up with a little bit of Verticals. Then we have some questions that we can try to tackle. We don't have the guru here to help us, so we'll see what we can do. But so looking out at my garden, I said with my best British accent, looking out at the garden. I hope you caught that accent there. You know, I've got a 20 and a 40. It's grand and lovely. Thank you. I've got a 20 and a 40 meter off center fed dipole up in a tree at the moment. It's about 25 feet up. Does okay. I can hear things. You know, I got stuff going on. You know, I can put out, somewhere about 600 watts, maybe 700 watts if with this amplifier that I have, the PW1. If I switch to a 210, 220 and get that here dropped in the shack over time, I can go up to, 1,000 watts ish. So,
Fancy.
but we'll do that. I was doing that in Missouri. Out here, it's a whole different thing. You can't have a lot of wire here. I talk about a garden. My wife wants to have a garden in our yard. We do have a yard. You know, she wants to grow some stuff. The kids have a swing. You know, I can't be like putting up a big spider web of things. So I started looking into
Big hex beam right in
specifically.
the middle of the yard.
Yeah, I'm like, can I put a hex beam? I can't do that. And there is some like, there are some trees that I needed to trim, and I would trim more. But I think I can fit this in. That ain't right, Cherry. Jesus H.
Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know, a lot of people who have a similar situation were talking verticals and specifically like a certain one. It was like the 6B TV or something like that, or
Oh,
4B
that
TV.
is that the Hustler? I think that is.
I think it
Or
is,
yeah,
right? People were like, that verticals.
popular. It's a popular antenna.
And then the newer stuff, you know, DX Commander, right? Callum has got some nice products and he's been around for a while and he's kind of developed some different things. And I'm like, and then somebody's like, I think it was Big Ben. Big Ben was like, I'd go with the Signature 9. And I was like, yeah, I've been looking at the Signature 9 because, and that's a 10-meter height, which is about 29 and a half feet tall. And I'm like, you know, that's about as tall as I want to go. I'm not trying to dick around with 40 feet, 41 feet here. And he's got some monsters. You know, I don't want it landing on anything, anybody. And then somebody, Big Ben, I think, he was like, I'm pretty sure Scotty got a Signature 9. You should talk to him about that. And he was like, I would get the Signature 9 too if it was me. And I'm like, well, if I was Big Ben, dang. If I had Big Ben's money now, shoot. But,
Yeah,
so
he just picked up that one of the fancy new Icom, not the new Icom, but he got himself a nice Icom handheld, I think, recently.
people have it. James has one. Another friend of mine has one in Livingston, Montana, and it's windy. On a nice day, it's a windy coming across those mountains in Livingston, and you know. And I started doing a little bit of research because I, frankly, be quite candid with you, I have not done verticals. I've done this 13-foot whip from the Full Metal Jacket, which I'm looking to get rid of. But I'm like, I don't know really. Does it work right? Does it, you know, it wasn't wire. My introduction to amateur radio was like, it's got to be a wire and it's a monoband. It's got to be just so. And that's kind of, I was programmed a certain way. Then I started doing this research and I'm like, wait a minute. I see what the vertical is here. Like now I understand. And now I know a little bit more about radials because I'm kind of in the situation.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't get it before, Scotty. I'm like, I never laid down radials. What the hell is that going to do? Well, it does a lot. Let me leave some space here for you to talk about. If you did get the DX Commander, your thoughts of it, because and I'll let you know where I am in my install. But tell me what you know.
Yeah. Well, I did get a DX Commander. I got the Expedition model, and not that I can set it up here at home in the apartment, but it's something that I take camping with me. And I set it up for field day this past field day, and it's my first sort of like when I say full size, it's the vertical elements are quarter wave for the bands. I got mine set up for 40 and 20 and 10 right now. There's two more bands that I need to cut wires for. But it's my first time playing around with this kind of antenna where you have sort of a quarter wave vertical elements. Usually I'm using like your Chameleon with the 13-foot whip, and there's loading coil and all these things. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's once you get the radials sorted out, and if you're gonna be putting it on the ground, one of the cool things about the ground mounted vertical is that the you don't have to get in the weeds with the precise radial measurements. You don't have to make sure that the radial for for 40 meters is going to be 30, going to be a quarter wave at 33 feet or whatever. You just need to get some metal on the ground. You need to get some wires on the ground, and they don't really need to be any particular length. They don't really even need to be laid out in any particular direction. You just need to get them down there. And so I had mine camping. The first night I used it, I was camping. I was on the 991, and I had this great QSO that I've never been able to have from the house. But I was talking to a guy in South America. He was in Brazil, I had another guy in the UK and me in the woods in Western Maryland, and everyone was just 5'9", and it was the coolest thing because I've never had that. And this is with the vertical antenna. They're known for low takeoff angles, and so they're good for the DX thing. And the stations were all banging in. I was getting out. It was great. So I'm sold on the vertical for sure.
Sidecar Steve was talking to me a little bit before we went live here tonight, and he is helping someone who was in a motor vehicle accident. That's why he had to dip out. His pager went off. Imagine that. He still has a pager.
Literally 2 minutes before we went
It's
live.
like bleep beep bleep, and he's like, "Uh-oh," and the details came across, and he said, "I gotta go." We're like, "Be safe." He was talking about being here in Florida, having the ocean kind of both sides at the bay side, but you got salt water and everything's flat here. I mean, it's so flat. A 100-watt radio station here scorches. You wouldn't believe it, but you guys know, ham radio operators know what you can do with 100 watts. But 100 watts of a radio station down here in the flats,
On the salt water.
I mean, it's
Man,
just
that's
going
good.
all up the way there. And he's like,
That's a perfect scenario for a vertical out situation.
I think so, and I have to echo what I've learned here about the radios. And James said it, something in the chat in this regard. I'm going to do 6 bundles, 4 each, about 10 feet long, and spread them out as best I can,
Yeah.
and see what I can get. And I should be able to go 10 feet out all the way around. And, if I were to get poked into a corner or you needed to put it up on a fence, you could do a 180 and still not really lose anything that's,
Yeah.
noticeable.
Nothing worth taking note over.
So that's where I am. And it sounds like you're happy with it, right? So it's too big and too tall to put up on the roof there where you are in the Ellicott City.
Definitely not a roof mounted type of antenna.
What is that, the 41-footer you have?
I forget what the Expedition model. I forget how big
Oh, the Expedition,
mast
okay.
is.
I'm not sure either.
It's not as big as the Classic, or I don't even think it's as big as the Signature 9. So it's a little bit shorter mast. So the 40-meter element needs to be kind of looped back over itself and come back down a little bit. But yeah, it's great. A few times I've used it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to make them. It's not. I mean, it's not bad. It's just the cutting radials, and then you got to do this thing with the loops for the spreaders, the plate that mount up along the mast. You got to do this thing to kind of attach the wires to those with some shot cord, and so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But once it's together, you can take it down, put it back up, and it's a real great performer. I'm really enjoying it. Are those peacocks that I'm hearing?
No, it sounds like I'm in the Star Wars lair and they're having a battle outside. Pew, 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 pew. It's either down here, these mockingbirds, they don't play, man. They are about that life. They will go after things. Here come the cicadas. So he's probably alerting his homies like, it's cicada time. It's chow down. It's either like a crazy blue jay or two, or which, they're kind of aggressive too, but nothing like the mockingbird. The mockingbird down here, you've always heard Carly Simon singing about the mockingbird. Yeah, 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 and you think it's a happy bird. They are about that. They will get into the mix. I do think that's a blue jay though. And they're kind of a bitch bird too, the Blue Jays and the baseball team. But anyway, see,
Shots fired.
some of my we'll be okay in here, Commander. We'll be fine.
Blue Jays are fired up now.
Yeah, man, it's wild. It's a wild place to be. But it's good.
I'm digging the DX Commander, and looks like James has made a few comments in the chat about his experience with them. I think he says he has 2. So I'm a fan. I dig it for sure.
Yeah, I'll take it down when it gets, and the Signature 9 also with the garden in mind. It is a good yard. I like the yard. I'm happy with that. But if I had to guy it, you know what I mean? It's still more rope, more space I'm taking up with the Signature 9. And I purchased this. I didn't ask Callum to spot me a Sig 9, and I'll talk about it. Like that'd be cool, but I don't know him like that. But this model has a mount you put in the ground, and then the pole, the telescoping pole,
Ah, cool.
slides over it, kind of like a condom
Right.
or something ish. Nothing on that, Sherry. I guess that was clinically appropriate. But it does go right over top of it, and so it helps, and you don't have to guy it. And so it at about 29 and a half, 30 feet. I feel good about this. If something did happen, if it gets windy and I notice it's getting weird, I just unconnect the bottom radials
Layer down.
and just take it off the tube and lay it down and go back in the
Yeah.
house. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping, but you're right. The putting it together part, I was thinking like I had so many things going on today that I was like, oh, I get called away to do something with the paint, working on a tree and doing this other thing, and I'm like, you got to have your head in the space
Yeah, you do.
to do it, because you got to measure everything, and
The
then
roll
you're like,
wire, you want to make sure you
Yeah,
you don't
you
want
just
to waste
wanna
the wire because you need that for radios.
you need that.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt to build, but once it's built, it's built, and they're cool. They
I
do
kinda
go up and down
get it.
real easy.
I
Yeah.
kind of get it, and I hope to have it up tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow we can do a gathering. If you're listening to this, I'm talking about our off day, which is Monday. It's a 3-day weekend for me, thank goodness. But anyway, there you go. We have some other business to talk about. We got to do some Ham Fest, and if there's any contests going on, the Route 66 things got me going. Also, if you've had a DX Commander and you've had that experience with a vertical, I'd love to hear your stories. You can leave it here in the chat or write to me and let me know. Other people are talking about like, you can build your own. And I'm like, I just don't have the time. At least going through Callum's DX Commander Signature 9, I feel like I'm learning a little bit more about the data and why this is working and why the radials do what they do.
Yeah,
So-
Callum's real good at explaining that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've been checking out his channel more, and it's good. I hope he's doing well with it, because it seems like a good build, and we'll just see. Let's see. I mentioned 100wattsinawire.com to you. You can get your 100 watt ID. We share those on net nights, which is Sunday 8 o'clock Eastern time, usually 20 and 40 meters. Both of our teammates are out tonight, so it can be a gathering of the willing. If you're here watching this recording, you can also go back to the podcast archive. You can subscribe there. You can pick up your 100 watts in a wire coffee mug, your t-shirts, your sweatshirts. Winter is coming. All of the money from all of these things go back into the production of the show, and we appreciate you there. Hamfest are around, my friend, and Scotty's here to let us know what's going on around the way.
Oh man, coming into fall. Fall's my favorite time for ham fests. So I got a few for here. We got Branch County Amateur Radio Club. It's the fall trunk swap. That's happening on next Saturday, the 7th.
Nice.
That's sponsored, and it's in Coldwater, Michigan, sponsored by the Branch County Amateur Radio Club. We have the Lancaster Ham Fest in Lockport, New York. Lancaster Amateur Radio Club hosting that. Again, that's next Saturday, the 7th. And then we have on the 8th, the ARRL Southern New Jersey Section Convention and Hamfest in Mullica Hill, New Jersey, the Gloucester County Amateur Radio Club putting that on. And I put those and quite a few more on the events channel on our Discord server, so you can head over there to see if there's any Hamfest coming up in your neck of the woods.
Right on. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, if your club's got something going on or a gathering, let us know. We'll share it on the events channel and get that information out there for you. Don't forget, we are on TikTok, Discord, Facebook, and the YouTubes on the YT every Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And our central hub is 100wattsinawire.com. We want to know what you're struggling with. And usually this is the portion where our boy Steve shines, but we'll try and tackle this, take some questions here. Me and Scotty, if you have anything you'd like us to try and tackle, put it in the chat, put a Q in front of it. Cicadas are not going to carry me away, but they're here. I don't know how long they stay. That's a good question. I got a question for you all. How long are these friggin' things? And they just kind of came to life as we were, 45, 46 minutes in.
Nice.
So I don't know what they do. I don't
Perfect.
see them. All right, let's see if we can answer this question. The best way to keep moisture out of my connectors. Now, there's a couple of ways. Scotty, you want to talk a little bit about one of the ways that you employ?
The butyl tape is one of the go-tos. There's a couple techniques to it. Well, first, definitely want to wrap from the cable side up to the connector, just so that the overlaps kind of create a shingle roof sort of thing, so there's no gaps. That's especially if your cables are going to be hanging down below your antenna. Some folks like to put electrical tape around the connector first, because this butyl tape stuff does leave a hell of a mess. It's a pain in the ass to get off, and if you ever need to, you get the razor blade trying to slice that crap off. So a layer of electrical tape, then the layer of this tape, and then another thing of electrical tape on top to kind of give you a good protection, and then also it helps with the ease of removal, because people like to seal up their coax. They don't think about the time where they have to then unseal up that coax to take something down, and so that kind of helps with that. And I've experimented a little bit, and I don't know how many people have tried this or if it's a thing, but I read somewhere using dielectric grease in your on your 259 connector. So packing it with dielectric grease and then screwing the whole thing together. And I've read especially with lower frequency, it's not something I would do, say, above like 10 meters or something. It's definitely not something to do in VHF or UHF, but on the lower frequencies, that works real well to keep moisture out, because you're displacing all the space with some dielectric grease. So I've experimented with that a little bit on antenna I have on the car, and so far it seems to be working okay. I haven't tried it on any of my big antennas yet, because I don't have it.
Now, this group would know, I have heard this before, but using Vaseline. Now, you Vaseline experts, you've been doing this for over 30 years to your own coax cable connector. Callum is using a little bit of Vaseline. What do you think about that?
I think that's it's great. It's similar to using a dielectric grease. I've used Vaseline on battery terminals to kind of protect it from moisture, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work well on a antenna connector. Again, especially at the lower frequencies that we use on HF.
All right, what's Big Ben saying here? Seen people put the first layer of tape on sticky side out, then butyl the tape again. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay, I thought for sure he'd have a Vaseline comment there, because he's wildly.
I like that liquid tape stuff. I forgot about that. I have some at the shop at work. It's like liquid electrical tape. It's pretty cool.
I got to check into that, because here we get a lot of rain. It's a rainy season. Of course, it's hurricane season, but it rain here every 5 minutes, or off in 5 minutes. Sun will be out. You see sun over there. It'll be raining a little bit.
You're gonna need to do some sealing.
The ground is damp here, and there is some water. Now, I'm not worried about naturally and maybe I should. I don't know. You guys tell me. The radials, they're going to be getting wet. They're going to be underground. There's going to be a lot of water. I don't think that's going to rust anything. It should be all right.
Nah, just lay those suckers. You're gonna bury them. Or you're gonna lay them on the ground and let the grass sort of grow over them.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to.
Yeah, you shouldn't bury them. If you do less than, I was watching some stuff, and you shouldn't bury. If you are going to bury them, no deeper than 2 inches, because then they start to become kind of like a ground rod if you get them into the ground too far.
Oh yeah, I don't want that.
Keep them on or at the surface. So yeah, just lay them in some yard staples. Keep them down. Let the grass sort of grow over a few months, so you'll disappear forever.
Right on. Let's try another one. Speaking of wet, living in a wet area. Does it affect radio performance? I probably have thought about this before, but I don't think it will. And Sidecar was telling me, with the saltwater being on both sides of the state, that should be good for me. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
but
your soil's already pretty much wet anyway, just based off of where you're at.
Wet.
Yeah. If it does get outside of that area, water doesn't. I mean, it affects maybe just a little bit. You might notice instead of a 1.1 on your SWR, you might get a 1.3 on a wet day.
Yeah.
something
Now,
like
we
that.
don't
So-
have to mow out here too much. Well, where I was before, we didn't have much grass at all. We do have grass here. In fact, I mowed yesterday and did some weed eating today. So right now with the rain, you're looking at, every week you're dealing with something. All right, here's one I think we could tackle. We may not have all the answers, but our crew here can help us as we creep up closer to the top of the hour. Heat shrink, alternatives to a heat pistol or a heat gun. Want to go first, Scotty?
Oh yeah, I use a butane lighter.
Butane lighter.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Those
you know
kinda-
what?
not the Bic, but the ones that have like the blue, like the bright blue flame.
Like
yeah,
a little flamethrower.
I use those 90% of the time on heat shrink.
Really?
Even when I have a heat gun available.
Nice. I don't think
Any-
hair dryers would work that
No,
well.
definitely
There's
not.
just not enough
Not hot.
heat coming off of those, which is good. Our ladies would be looking completely different if that was the case. You know what I have done in the past, though? I've used the shaft. Let me get the sentence out first, damn it.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to take her to HR because this is inappropriate. If I'm soldering something and the shaft of the is hot, not the tip, but the shaft part of it. See,
It's all hot, baby.
it's
Yeah,
all hot there, and I rub that on there,
I've used
and I
that
get
before.
it all soft and gooey. You know what I mean? And it releases the glue inside. So I think that's an option. If you don't have the butane, use the shaft
Yeah.
hot part.
Alright.
You know what
Alright,
I'm
we're-
saying, Scotty? See, you
Oh, yeah.
nasty some of them.
But if you hold it too, and it's true with the lighter too. And even with the heat gun, if you hold it in place too long, you're gonna burn it or melt through it. They're pretty heat tolerant. You can get them good shrunk before you have to worry about the burning through or damaging the heat shrink with all of those options.
Yeah. Big Ben says he uses a lighter. He's KX4TX. I mean, I think it works. You just want to kind of seal it up and get it gummy enough to kind of, pardon the pun there, gummy. Let's
Get
do
it to
one
shrink.
more. Get it to shrink down and then get that adhesive kind of to melt in there. Let's see. Let's see. We could do this one. Why not? Oh, this one's a loaded one. We'll do this next time. One more for this episode. What does it mean to time out the repeater?
Oh man, it's when you've been running your app too long and the repeater cuts you off so it can recover briefly. Also,
So
it's to keep people from automatically keying up. Well, so a lot of radios will have a timeout function. So basically, what is there? It kind of helps protect the radio if you accidentally key up the radio and it's just transmitting, and it'll your radio will have a timeout function, and the repeaters will also have a timeout function. So that means that if you're transmitting and keyed up for long enough, there's a timer in these things that will basically just cut you off, and it's kind of a safety feature, so things don't get burned up if something gets keyed up without anybody knowing.
So if you're out there on the repeater and you're chatting it up for a bit, take a break, unkey for a little bit, let the radio do its thing, and then pick it back up.
Exactly.
Duty
I've been-
cycles.
Listen to duty cycles. That's the proper term I should have said.
Thank
But
you,
I've been
James.
listening to those on the 2-meter repeater, and people are talking, yeah, and then I was stuck in it.
You're listening
keep
to
that-
the
oh, man,
WBB5 repeater.
I timed out the repeater. So yeah, that's what that is. Duty cycles.
Another question came in asking if Mitz had got his virus from the Browns. Survey says possible. Magic 8 Ball says probable that. So there you go.
If you're soldering or if you're using heat shrink at the Brown, so as Mark says, you could use crack pipe lighter to heat shrink.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find one, by all means. Is that answer valid? Survey says yes. Crack pipe lighter can heat shrink for you. Well, we've done it. We've done it, my friend.
We pulled it off.
We pulled it off. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. If you've got questions, of course, you can drop them to us as we're live on the YT. We're everywhere you are on the TikTok. We've got Discord. Everybody hangs out there, talks a little bit about whatever they want to talk about. If from music to weather, you name it. It happens on the Discord. Facebook has been going strong since the beginning, and every Sunday night live on the YouTube, you can join us. Check us out at 100wattsandawire.com. That's where pretty much the HQ for the show. It will distribute you where you'd like to go. Next week, we'll catch up with Sidecar Steve to see if he was a hero or if it just wasn't possible. He's got some horror stories that he sees out there in the road. I don't know how he does it, but thank goodness for the people out there where he lives. He and his brothers and sisters do it. Stop playing with matches out there. We'd like to see him around in the shack a little bit more instead of fighting fires.
Right.
Anything else? Did we miss anything else? I think we got it all.
Caught up for the week pretty good.
Maybe tomorrow, if I can get this thing on the air, I'll drop a note. In Discord this week, we'll test it out. Tuning could be a whole new bucket of worms. We'll find out. But I hope to erect this. That ain't right. Tomorrow, we will erect an antenna tomorrow. God willing, and the creek doesn't rise.
Jesus Christ.
That's just a
Make
saying.
sure you get them radials down.
Get them radios down. All right, thank you, my brother. We appreciate you. Kilo Charlie 3, Bravo, X-Ray November. That's Scotty, a.k.a. famous for the gummy stick. If you need directions on how to build yours, drop him a note to his P.O. box.
And soon to be Gummy Radio.
Gummy Radio coming to a town near you. Good luck.
Gummy Radio.
Good luck in 73, Scotty. We will talk more about your AM or FM station in Ellicott City next week.
Yeah,
73.
73.
Good luck the rest of the way, friends. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. See ya. Gummy Radio.
To join the 100 Watts and a Wire community, visit 100wattsandawire.com.